Hi, I'd like to talk to you about a point which I think is quite valid today is what vertical or what areas will AI impact the most, right? That's a very good question, by the way, and I'm seeing a lot of discussions going around it. The answer to that is quite simple. I don't think it's complicated at a very fundamental level. I'll help you out, right? If you're in any kind of a job or any kind of environment, trade, economy, whatever, which you are working with your brain, that is the number one area to be impacted. So let's say, for example, social media management, marketing, research. These are all like 99% of the time you're working with your mind, your brain, you're thinking, you're trying to figure something out, like you're doing research, creative. So it's all mind based, right? Things that's the number one area which will get impacted, right? The lowest impact will be physical things like, let's say, farmers, planting, cooks, chefs, I don't know, all these people who work with their hands will be the least impacted by AI. At the top vertical, yes, it does sound a little bit scary because the entire structure, actually, surprisingly, like decades ago, it was the reverse, like where people who used to work with their hands had better value, higher value, and people who work with their minds had a lower value. But with the advent of technology, social media, it's sort of swapped. And today, the people who work with their minds have the best kind of a pay and social status. But AI is actually going to impact them the most. I don't think there is anything to be scared about that. It's just that we need to figure out, the people who work with their minds have to figure out how they're going to exist on this new planet, right? I don't think everybody will have such a big opportunity because there is obviously redundancy is going to take place where AI is going to come and do a lot of stuff. So what 10 people were doing in a vertical, it only takes one person to do. So there will be definitely impact. But I think if you're looking for how to capitalize on it, find a niche, right? Find a niche, and as you're finding this niche and studying AI and how to try to get better at what you're doing, the mind kind of a model you're working out. Try to also remember the human part of it because you're always going to be working with somebody else. You're going to have a client, somebody you're providing the service to. Focus on them as well and find the balance. Then I think you're safe, right? Then I don't think you will have that much of an impact. But the worst people are going to be who are working with their minds, but who are oblivious to this, or who are just cocooned and who are not going to do any research, who are just like comfortable in their area. They don't want to find out any of these technologies, what's happening. I think they are like the going to be the most affected, if you ask me. I think the rest of the people will figure out a way. They will figure out a way. I don't think there is like a playbook written now, but I'm sure in the coming months, years, people will always find a way to use these technologies and figure out a way. I think if I have learned something about humans, that's their remarkable skill, right? So we all know how to adapt, and I think it'll be interesting to see how that happens as well. Thank you.